And so that brings us to our 5th match of the day, a rematch of our World Championship Finals that took place. Viper taking on hunterace in this one. And this week, Viper has continued to bring interesting Shaman decks and a victory for him in this one. It gets banned away by hunterace in this one. So chalk that one up to a win. When you bring an off deck and it gets banned, always a good sign. He protected his Druid at the start of the match as well. Interesting to me. I'll be looking at this in a second. And for hunterace, his Warrior was protected and his Priest was banned away. And hunterace this week having a departure from his typical lineup. He's brought Reno Mage to couple with the Holy Wrath Paladin, the combo Priest, and the Warrior that he's been bringing typically.
And I imagine that it didn't really pay off for him if he has to ban this Shaman away. I think that Aggro Shaman would not be expected from Viper this week. Maybe Quest Shaman, for example. But I do think Mage would heavily struggle against that list, and that is why it got banned away.
There's a lot of burn damage.
Yeah.
It's like the thing that Mage struggles with. It's great at keeping at bay a setup.
Yeah.
Handles a setup, but then suddenly they start attacking you with the
This deck is all payoff. It's no setup, it's just all payoff.
Yeah, it's just attack you with a Lickum.
Yeah.
Chuck a Lava Burst at your face. You're like, what? I can't stop those. Reno doesn't do anything to that.
The first block it puts in the way, the first roadblock is an Alexstrasza that comes down turn 9. So you got 9 turns of question marks up to that point. Reno the Relicologist doesn't kill a Doomhammer.
That's a very true story. Zephrys can, but
yeah.
That's about it. So now I'm looking at the matchup from Viper's perspective. He's maintained his Priest in the matchup. And so my curiosity then is the perspective on the Warrior versus Priest. You know, I'm still firmly in the camp that it's Warrior favored, albeit very slightly. When the Warrior wins, it's often by sort of a shred through that middle stage where it looks like you could die at any moment, but then you turn a corner. When the Priest wins, it is a very dominant-looking performance typically.
Yeah.
And so the other argument then would be the Mage versus Priest as well, which so far in Grandmasters has gone results in favor of Mage. And there are a number of players in Americas who are talking about how they believe Mage is favored when it comes to that Priest matchup.
And the stats seem to suggest that that's true. Like, Mage is one of the few dominating classes against Priest so far in GM. I think it has, like, almost 100% win rate versus it.
I think it was 4-1 going into yesterday.
4-1 going into it. It was 4-0 at some point. That is why. Okay.
We're kicking things off with Druid for Viper, taking on the Mage from hunterace. For Viper this week, he's included Chef Nomi, Cenarius, King Ferris, and Elise the Enlightened.
The whole
at the top
package.
The full Monty.
Yeah.
I love it.
There's been a lot of full Monties today.
Whew.
I think it keeps switching up what that means, but
yeah,
it's full of Monty.
Contextual.
Half full of Monty.
Is it like a half glass or a half gallon?
It could be the same thing as 2 quarts. What's the equivalent of 2 quarts of a cup? Half cup. It's just not.
2 quarts of a cup?
4 fluid ounces.
You mean half of a cup?
I'm getting confused.
Me too. I mean, I started out confused, but
it's really not improving.
So is that 2 negatives? Does that make a positive?
I'll tell you what's positive. Crystal Merchant. Not being contested. Oh, well, Zephrys was just drawn, but it was not being contested.
Does Zephrys contest this for 1 mana?
Soulfire.
I don't know if I want a Soulfire.
Would it even give you that?
Probably, but I
don't think it considers a 1/4 scary enough to give you a Soulfire.
That's a true story.
You could go coin Zephrys, maybe Eviscerate.
Its primary appearance is attack of the minion.
Yeah. That's why Master Spell, it will not offer Master Spell against a huge board of like heavily buffed minions with their health, but the attack isn't buffed. That's why Master Spell isn't a great outcome. Like, isn't something you should be looking for against a Priest board.
Yeah. I guess to clarify, for hunterace's spot, it's not whether or not Zephrys handles it, it's whether or not it handles it without coin. That feels like a very vital resource to him, given his hand right now. With Alexstrasza and with Kalecgos, you have to be finding super strong turns to be able to get to those points. And so what that means is that your coin needs to be creating a pretty massive tempo swing for you. I don't think 3-2 and killing 1-4 is
My question is, does he need to?
Exactly.
It seems like he's killing it.
So this is an interesting spot, and I think this is quite smart from hunterace, where you are using your coin, but you're saving Zephrys. So Zephrys is your tempo swing you're looking for.
Oh, that off the top is one of the best. That is the best draw in the game right now for Viper. That's tough, because hunterace committed a lot of resources to answering the first Crystal Merchant. He is clearly upset to see the second one.
So that tells me that it's not clear if you should answer this. I think given what he did last turn, probably.
Probably Zephyrus is the play here, right?
You're losing a lot if an Oasis Surger comes down. Like the
quest is active, there's
you're
a Crystal Merchant
die.
in play, and you've used your Zephyrus to kill a 1/4.
But I guess if you don't play Zephyrus and you see Oasis Surger, do you just die?
Zephyrus will not give you anything that remotely resembles a board clear against 2 5/5s for 3 mana. It'll give you a Shadow Word Death.
Well, yeah, that card doesn't exist. I'm kind of thinking that this may be, like, if you're playing Zephyrus this turn, you're trying to grab something and then play the Mountain Giant.
Like a 7/8. You want to grab a... Like, you could ping face, play Zephyrus, get an Earth Elemental.
Or just hold Zephyrus.
That works as well.
Yeah, I don't think there's a reason to fight for tempo. I think you concede the draw. If your opponent's playing Oasis Surger, they're not drawing off the Crystal Merchant.
I wonder if, without the Mountain Giant in hand, you would consider playing the Zephyrus here? Does it take into account the card draw that you'd be getting? So, like, if you played Zephyrus, would it offer you a Mountain Giant, knowing that next turn you'd have it cost 5 mana? Because it would be 6, but then the draw would make it 5. I doubt it.
Need a Zephyrus Workshop.
There's a lot going on with that card, man.
It's so interesting. He's a riddle, wrapped in an enigma.
Can I tell you who would be yelling right now?
What do you mean?
Purple. Purple would be yelling right now. He'd be yelling specifically at Viper because there's a Crystal Merchant in his hand that hasn't been played yet.
Viper's a very thoughtful player.
Oh, yeah.
I think that there's merits and benefits to playing it and not playing it.
I think there's a lot to talk about. I'm just letting you know right now, Purple would have been just yelling, Viper, play the card. Viper, play the card.
I think with Chef Nomi in my deck that I have more incentive to want to draw pretty rapidly.
Yeah. Even with the Nourish in hand, you know? Like, you're drawing quite quickly anyways.
Yeah, I'm curious if with, like, Ferris, Cenarius, Chef Nomi in hand, like, are you willing to ever burn stuff? Like, to just shred through and get to Nomi?
It sounds good to me. You've already got everything you need at this point, besides the Elise, I would say. But
I do feel like Mage is, like, one of the matchups where that can be dangerous.
Because they have freezes and can maybe do a reverse
Big threat
swing.
Freeze, yeah.
Viper does not have the Oasis Surger just yet. Okay. Ow.
Surger, and goodbye one of the Crystal Merchants. Specifically the 3/4.
Yeah, that does make sense. Well, the other one, why would the other one die?
Well, I'm saying specifically
Yes.
the 3/4. If you trade in the 1/3, that's a bad idea.
Why did you feel the need to specify?
Well, because what if you attack the 1/3 and that's a bad idea?
You just said Viper is very thoughtful.
That's why I specified. I wanted to be thoughtful.
I guarantee you, Viper.
I wanted to emulate one of my favorite people. Maybe that's what I want to do, Gallon.
Okay.
Are you judging me?
Yes.
Well,
I'm judging you.
Well, shut up, all right?
3 out of 10.
Not drawing the card as well, using the Worthy Expedition, means that you open up hand space to be able to cast Nourish next turn. I don't know if that's where he's headed with it, but he does want the option, I think.
It seems to me that way just because he has a King Phaeorus. One of the things about Nourish timing is that it doesn't really matter as long as you get to 10 mana on the turn that you'd have 10 mana anyways. So, like, if you cast it on turn 7, you go to 9.
You go to 10.
Go to 10. But if you cast it on turn 8, then you land at 10 a turn later than that.
It's just not as efficient.
Yes, so any turn before turn 7, you cast Nourish, you're going to hit that Phaeorus at the same pace.
The ideal timing.
Yeah, which is as early as possible, and he hit it as early as possible.
I love that voice line.
It's pretty good here, man. Like, it contests fairly well. It's not dying on board, and if it doesn't die, the Conjurer's Calling actually gets there. Now, Wrath will have something to say about that if Viper wants to take that line.
Viper's going to end up burning a card here. I wonder what card he was specifically looking for. Power of the Wild? War Druid Lodi?
I don't think
Anubisath Defender.
What?
Innervate.
You still have the chance of getting an Anubisath Defender off the top. Wrath will cycle through. Same thing with Ferocious Howl. Either of those cards will work. I think there's definitely merit to just killing the 6-drop, so Conjurer's Calling can't nutter butter you here with 2 damage Stegatrons.
I think that's very much on Viper's mind.
Best draw in the deck is Anubisath Defender because he can just play it.
Or is it a 6-cost spell to load up Feoris?
Also good.
Is it a Zephyrus to protect it from being burned?
Also good. Just drawing cards is good.
It's my favorite thing. I spy a Book of Spectres Ziliax. That was my instinct anyway.
Your opponent's more often than not playing a Feoris next turn.
Well, there's not a setup for that.
Ziliax Zephyrus will not give you an AoE. Like if it had the premonition of knowing what this matchup was about and just gave you a Twisting Nether for next turn.
Yeah, I'm going to take that moment to platform for a bit here. To all the pros who complain about Zephyrus being dumb, he functions the way he functions. He doesn't know the matchup. Play with the card and learn it, okay? I'm tired of hearing Zephyrus
It's like
is
you
dumb.
got your pretty good legend friend to come over and inspect your game real quick and said, hey, don't look at anything else, just what's happening right now. What's your take on it?
Yeah, figure it out.
And he's like, NFC tech looks pretty good here.
To be fair, I did like Soleil's explanation yesterday, which is this is Grandmasters. Yes, you get paid. There's a lot of other stuff to do in life. He wants to stream and keep streaming. He doesn't have time to do everything he, ideally for Grandmaster stuff. So touche, but figure it out.
Yeah. Oh, Tortolan Pilgrim will give hunterace Blizzard sometimes.
Yeah, he does not have a copy of Puzzle Box of Yogg-Saron in the deck.
There is a Flame Strike. Oh, he overdrew both of them. I apologize. While we were talking, that power, the Book of Spectres was not great for hunterace.
It was pretty inverse good.
Yeah, not the cards. Oof. Flame Strike and Blizzard gone.
Your wish is my suggestion.
Does MC Tech have any value here?
Time runs out on me.
Think the brawl has the value.
Yeah.
You could take that 2/6. Think if you had Flame Strike and Blizzard, you might have some consideration for it. The button's green.
One of the worst outcomes. The best outcomes were Zephyrus, Ziliax, and Cairn. Along with the 0-3, I would imagine.
Well, it's about to get painful.
This is overwhelming presence. Hunterace is still a turn off from being able to do something like...
Wait. The Treants are 2 cost, right?
Yes. You could go for the Conjurer's Calling for double Doomsayer.
2 shots at it.
Alternatively,
Go on.
could you set up a world where you go Tortolan Pilgrim into Calicos for a Puzzle Box and then cast Puzzle Box?
You could also play Stargate Zerluna, slam the Doomsayer, draw Frost Nova?
Yeah, that works as well.
Well, it fails sometimes, though. Yeah, I like this.
Hunterace is going for it.
The time is nigh.
You win this.
Recognizes one of his outs. It's very low. Doesn't pay off. Viper wins game 1.
A relief after the way he sits back and leans his head back. That tells you how important this match is for Viper right here. Hunterace looked very unenthusiastic at the end of that game. Things did not go well.
Yeah.
But for Viper, he's fighting for his life right now. RDU picked up a win in his previous match, and he's put that onus onto Viper now. Onus on Viper means that he has to capitalize. He has to start winning. With only a few matches remaining in the regular season, you cannot be the bottom slot, or otherwise you're facing relegation.
I mean, again, he's one of the players where that just fail scenario, that awful, awful scenario of getting relegated is pretty much breathing down his neck at this point. He doesn't have that many games left. He's facing against some of the best players in the world, who I'd argue he's facing against the best player in the world right now, and he has to win.
Yeah, I would agree with that argument. I would totally agree with it. He sits at 9-1 in match record right now for hunterace, current world champion. I think he's been setting the tone on deck lists. He's been playing fantastically. He's clearly put in the work ethic. What more can you ask for?
Wins.
Well, he's got those too.
Oh, no.
So, unfortunately, we have to ask for a break for you now as well. Quick one, and when we come back, we're jumping into game number 2 of Viper versus hunterace, rematch of the World Championship. Stay tuned.
Legends say powerful treasures are hidden everywhere here in Aldum.
If we hope to defeat Rafam, we'll need as many as we can get. He's already unleashed the ancient plague lords and countless monsters. Keep them distracted, Reno.
Not a problem. This plan is totally gonna work. Ain't that right, Finley?
Oh, yes! I have them right where I want them.
There is an artifact here. The name is...
The scales of justice. Oh, it must be really fancy.
only to be used in a time of great peril. Yes, I think this qualifies.
Hey, look, Finley! You've lured one of the Plague Lords!
Take this, fiend!
In the face! Yeah! Hey, guys! Get that treasure! We've got a Plague Lord to destroy!
Yes, please, hurry!
Not to worry, Finley. We'll just push this thing right here.
No, that's a trap! Watch out!
It's all good. I am phonily timed.
Gracious me!
What we actually need to do is press this. And there. A fish.
No! It's the scales of justice!
Ah, who wants to use it first?
Oh, I do! Me! On second thought, maybe give it to Finley?
All you had to do was hold a rope.
Here we go, blaming the tall, ruggedly handsome guy again.
My name is Casper. My alias is hunterace. My username actually goes way, way back. I didn't actually come up with it myself. My father is like somewhat of a gamer and he had like his own gaming stuff. But what I did was I just stole one of his tags and used it for myself.
So hunterace is really your dad?
Well, not anymore. Right now I reached like my ultimate goal for this year. We happened to win the World Championship and that was like the biggest thing, so I'm like still extremely happy about that. I think that the Grandmaster program provides an exciting opportunity to be able to play like high competition Hearthstone every week. Only competing against the EU players to start with is going to be a very difficult job and it's going to be super hard to be like one of the standout performers and then qualify to the global finals. I would have to stay at my best to be able to qualify.
Penultimate week for Hearthstone Grandmasters regular season. The penultimate day of this week for Hearthstone Grandmasters in the European region. I'm Nathan, that's Admiral Zamora, joined by Gallon, penultimate name, in your moniker anyway. Edward Gallon Goodwin.
And we may be seeing the penultimate game in the series. Or the ultimate, depends on if Viper wins or not.
Yeah, and so for that one right now, Hunter Ace is up a game in our 5th match of the day before we ship it over to the Americas region where Gallon has to compete later on. And we have a Warrior versus Mage matchup that's coming up. Viper up a game in the series, excuse me. I think I'm 100% positive I misspoke.
Definitely did. It's okay.
I just saw the name on the paper. My fault, I'm dumb. So Viper's on Warrior and Hunter Ace is on Mage. And I will say that there is one take on this I think that you can have, and that's about it.
Mage is favored.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, there are some things that have changed since like the last couple of weeks. Luna's Pocket Galaxy being 7 mana means that it's delayed for quite a while. Before, when we were seeing Mage versus Warrior, especially Highlander Mage versus Warrior, it felt like Luna's Pocket Galaxy coming down was... You don't want to say game over on broadcast, but it was game over when that happened.
It was a major detriment to the defending player.
Yes. Another tool that was also important in this matchup has also been nerfed from the Warriors side, Dr. Boom.
Yes. It being at 9 mana is a much bigger difference. You think about the inflection points of the game, and some of the big ones are going to be around, the turn 8+ scenario, where you're needing to shield slam a big minion and get Dr. Boom down. That is much more difficult with a 9-cost Dr. Boom. A lot of times you can't clear up the minion that's there with a hero power. If it's weakened, perhaps, over the course of a couple turns. It's just tougher to do. So it is tougher from both sides. The nature of the matchup is largely changed and dynamic for Hunter Ace as well. Largely the theoretic was based from Cyclone Mage. But I feel like it got worse with Highlander Mage.
Yes, there was a few weeks where we had the unnerfed versions of Dr. Boom and Pocket Galaxy seeing play, along with the new cards for Saviors of Old Doom, and it definitely seemed like as the weeks progressed, before the nerfs, Highlander Mage was just getting more and more favored.
It's just got so much top end.
Yeah.
Like, you look at the curve of the deck, like that mana curve chart, it's like inverse of what you normally see. It goes from little at the low end cost to just a bunch of top end. Power creation naturally in the deck now, where before you had to, find it off of a Mana Cyclone. That's one of the most damaging cards, I think, to Warrior, is just that particular one creating 2 threats simultaneously.
And Mage has one of the prime examples of what I like against a slow deck like Control Warrior, which is kind of like cards in a board in a card, or value in a card. And what I mean by that is, it's one thing that you play where if they don't answer it, you can just use that singleton card to cycle through your deck, get a lot of resources. I'm talking about Stargazer Luna. I'm talking about Conjurer's Calling. I'm talking about Calicos. I'm talking about Luna's Pocket Galaxy. And every single one of these cards is one where the Warrior needs to have an immediate response to it, but the Mage doesn't actually really care if that single threat gets removed. It's not like they're developing all of their game plan into that one specific card. They're not putting all of their eggs in one basket. But if the Warrior doesn't deal with it, they're going to run away with the game.
Yeah.
Twilight Drake is a pretty nice pickup. It gets checked by the Restless Mummy, but
sometimes it bees that way.
Sometimes it bees that way.
Can hold me. No tune can hold me.
Something I've noticed in my time playing this matchup, I've mostly played from the Warrior side. I am afraid, like, every turn.
Well, yeah, it's scary.
I'm just like, I don't know what's going to handle all this stuff, but maybe it's at the bottom of the deck. It's when it comes in a row that it becomes a big issue, because you don't have time to find the rest of your stuff. Warrior's pretty naturally low on card draw. And when you're getting pressured, it's tough to find a turn for a Weapons Project Harrison Jones or what have you.
I mean, if Viper tries to play for board right now, I think Reno the Relicologist is going to come in and kind of beat that strategy.
It's just like a glorified Vile Spine Slayer in the matchup.
Yeah, glorified Valspon Slayer is still a pretty good card.
It just blows it up.
Yeah, I mean, it would put Viper on the back foot if he tries to contest this with minions right now. Reno the Relicologist is really good at that.
Yeah, he's very good at that.
He's great when you're behind. He's fantastic when you're behind, but even when you're ahead,
that's when it's felt most impactful to me.
That's when it feels like you take firm control of the game. Rather than just like resetting it when you're behind, taking firm control is when you're ahead and you can play Reno for value. Viper realizes that, so he just trades off the Ziliax attack.
Don't want to Reno that.
But you kind of want to Reno that.
But I don't want to Reno that.
But you kind of want you kind of want to Reno that.
But I don't want to Reno that.
You'd rather there be like 4 extra ones of these in play. Just 4 more Zilliaxes with no Divine Shield.
Do you use the Reno here?
I don't know, man. You follow up with Mountain Giant. You got Tortollan Pilgrim the following turn if you hit Conjurer's Calling.
That's a good point.
You keep being the only one with minions in play. You got a Stargazer Luna to follow it up.
Gallon, you're so smart.
What else is your play here? You're going to go hit, pass, Frostbolt it, pass? Develop a 4/6, protect your 3/2. Play a Mountain Giant next turn. Play a Tortollan Pilgrim next turn.
You're so smart.
Tempo equals
I
good.
wouldn't have done it. I wouldn't have done it.
Would you have Frostbolted instead?
Yeah, I think so.
Would you have developed a Stargazer Luna alongside that?
No.
So just Frostbolt ping.
Yeah.
I like extra stuff in play.
Well, the extra threat means a lot. It prompts Viper to take action. If he's taking action, what that means is the Mountain Giant starts becoming open because your opponent's used a resource.
Sure.
And because your opponent's used a resource, so on and so forth. That's the issue I faced on Warrior. So now that I'm seeing it from a top-end perspective, I'm feeling the impact of when I win. It's my opponent's unwilling to use a resource like Rito the Relicologist in a position like that. They're not compounding the issue, and that gives me time as the defender.
It's like I like to think of it as good enough. Once you hit the mark where it's good enough,
yeah,
that's good. Reno was definitely good enough there. Now, I will say, from your point, that Frostbolt is not like a huge resource in this matchup, so using it to kill a 3/2, it's not like you're giving up that much to do it, but the additional tempo that you get from just having an extra 4/6 in play is really what solidifies this as, I think, the best play that turn.
One shield slam down. Now, Viper has done this very well, where he's at 8 armor after the attack.
Job's done.
The second shield slam.
That's a big pickup. But mind you, that's the second shield slam down now, instead of the first.
So
that's
stuff
Dr.
like
Boom
Tortollan
shield
Pilgrim,
slam.
yeah.
I just talked about the Dr. Boom shield slam at the start. That is a very important mechanism. And if that shield slam comes down, that's no longer access.
At the same time, if you use the shield slam now, that frees up a coin Dr. Boom on turn 8.
True story. Thus, the importance of the Tortollan Pilgrim.
Yes,
A
that's
threat.
the thing, yeah. Hopefully, the best card that he can get, I would say, is Conjurer's Calling. Secondarily, Power Creation is also really strong. The reason that I would say Conjurer's Calling is better is because you get that additional Conjurer's Calling in your hand from the Twin Spell. When Tortollan Pilgrim casts Conjurer's Calling from your deck, you still get that Twin Spell copy. So it fights for board, it adds stuff to play, and it gives you value.
Now, that being said, there are currently 10 different spells in the deck.
That's a lot.
So, consistency's sake, not quite as much. You'll take the Galaxy.
Luna's Pocket Galaxy. Why not? 8 mana, 5/5. Everything you play for the rest of the game that's a minion costs 1 mana.
Yeah, you didn't even mention that one, by the way.
I
Like,
didn't-
that's the thing, is I think it was the third best.
Yeah. There's a lot.
That's insane.
Luna's Pocket Galaxy was the third best one.
How is Warrior supposed to beat this? It's so unfair.
Hey, whoa. Wait a second. If we're going to talk about unfair decks on broadcast,
Yeah,
Warrior?
we gotta talk about Priest then.
No. Warrior Dynamax.
No, Warrior unfair. No, what? No.
It's got Elysiana. It never fatigues. It's just a 40-card deck.
Nah, don't worry about that. Don't worry about that.
Everyone else is playing a 30-card
Nope.
deck.
Nah,
It's like Warrior showed up and just, like, it didn't slide 1 card in. It's not like an ace up its sleeve. It's like 10. It's like a whole deck up its sleeve.
Nah, don't worry. Warrior's fine. And Warrior players all agree. Ask any of them.
I think Warrior is fine. I think Mage is fine. I think Priest, it's fine.
Yeah, I'm gonna disagree. I mean,
It's Hearthstone.
I play Warrior and Mage beats it. So.
Oh, you have one losing matchup. I apologize. This is a 9 mana do nothing kind of turn.
Yeah, it's not what Hunter Ace wanted. I will say I don't think Blizzard is like important in the matchup, but you want to use your Luna to chain because you have 1 mana minions in your deck. So expending that right now, pretty poor idea.
Yeah, Luna this turn seems short-sighted, I would say.
I'm thinking just the Mossy Harbor and start threatening Conjurer's Calling.
I like it. I like Mossy Harbor because you actually develop something, even though it's very small. A 2/7 is not that big of a minion. Meanwhile, we have Amit in the pool, but it kills the 1/2. Not that relevant, but it's still, you know, a minor benefit.
It's threatening Conjurer's Calling. So far, Hunterace has not had an opportunity to use a Conjurer's Calling other than on Ziliax. So I think for Viper it's a threat you can really consider.
Just another minor optimization by Hunterace to Frostbolt the 3/1 here, or the 3/4.
He's really anticipating, I think, chaining minions next turn, and then following up with Kaligos afterwards. So that tells me a hero power would be in order. The chain of minions here for Hunterace could be a very real threat. Oh my.
Do you want to just do that instead?
That's 4 snip snaps. And so my answer is yes.
Take a looking at Viper's deck here. He has no copies of a Mega Devastator in there. With 1, it starts becoming arguable. With 2, probably not the best play. But with none in there, I don't know, man. Big Ziliax. There's also a Spellbreaker, something to keep in mind.
Big stuff, honestly, has become kind of a rarity.
Yes, but the big thing to keep in mind is that there is a Spellbreaker in Viper's deck. So if he tries to go all in on the Ziliax, there's a Spellbreaker in Viper's hand, Hunterace can get massively punished.
What if you don't go all in? What if you go like 1, 2, 1?
But you want to go all in.
Well, I didn't like this. I mean, I do like it, but seeing the outcome, not so much.
One of the big things about the Conjurer's Calling nerf is that you can no longer get it off of Magic Trick. That used to be pretty impactful.
I didn't even think about that. I was wondering how that deck wasn't Conjurer's Calling me as much. That's literally why. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. Magic Trick's still quite a good card. You can find Arcane Intellect off of it. Sometimes Research Project.
Yeah, the more I think about it, the more this was, I think, smart from Hunterace. And, you know, a couple of reasons why. Number 1, he's staring down Kaboom. So, like, your 1/1s are not necessarily getting the job done.
Yep.
Number 2, the Kaligos does prompt action from Viper. Like, he needs to do something against this. And so with Kaboom up, it's not necessarily strong. Number 3, the Snip Snap stays at 1 cost. So you can make 4 Snip Snaps anytime you want.
Yeah, that's one of the things about Snip Snap is you really don't want to line it up against that specific hero power. And a lot of times, like, you'll have a great play, and they'll get the Kaboom hero power, and you're like, ah, man, I got to wait another turn.
Yeah. A little puzzle piece.
I think from Hunterace's side, waiting another turn wasn't that bad of that bad of a thing.
You got a Galaxy with a Luna. You have Galaxy active with Stargazer Luna in
You're
hand.
fine.
Yeah. You're fine.
This would be a good
Now,
time
if you
for a
keep
master
drawing all the
plan.
spells, well, I'll get a bit nervous, but
Save the flow. I love that fuse thing. Light the fuses.
He's doing this order. Makes sense because that's a mech, so he knows where it's going to go. There was one really bad scenario where... Oh. All right, it's Stargazer Luna time. There's a 1-mana Antonidas in this deck.
Behold the tools of
pick up a cheap
creation.
spell.
Magic Trick
Wow,
plays
this
around
is
this.
so smart.
Yes.
Hold the Magic Trick for that moment. Draw the extra card.
Unexpected results, Flame Ward,
Behold the
Witchwood
tools
Piper.
of
Massive
creation.
draw.
Come down.
Always draws a 1-cost card.
Behold the
Elemental
tools
Evocation
of
cycles more.
creation. Behold the tools.
chain breaks.
That is...
The Tartolan Pilgrimess makes a copy of the spell. That's a dead card. 7 mana, spell.
And Hunterace even tried to play around it with the Magic Trick pull. You know, he saw the first Flame Strike. He said, it's okay.
Time runs out on me.
I've mapped this out, and it just so happens that he's got one of the only things in his deck that he just couldn't play. Oh, man.
I'll tell you what, though. You did get through a large portion of your deck that would have otherwise been dead. Like,
Yes.
if you had not done this, your next few draws were just really not doing much. And I think that's the lens you got to look at it through. It's like, hey, well, you know what? The deck is still stacked now. But the thing about it is...
At the same time, it could have been so much better. Imagine if he had gotten an Antonidas instead of a Flame Strike there. Suddenly, the Magic Trick is going to add another Fireball to his hand.
Exactly.
He doesn't need to worry about this overdraw scenario, or not overdraw, but like this scenario of not getting enough cards from his deck.
I mean, that's my concern now, is that the Archmage has been, largely nullified. With Book of Specters, Ray of Frost, Arcane Intellect, Frost Nova, like...
He still has Arcane Intellect. Arcane Intellect could pick up a Antinous plus Ray of Frost. Suddenly you're looking at a lot more fireballs coming in.
That's the thing, is I'm trying to think about how you generate a bunch of fireballs, because you're going to need them.
Viper has a full board clear here.
The thing about it is that Viper's Ziliax is gone. It was used to contest.
But he's at 30 life now. Oh, and that's the last card.
Snip snap time.
Oh, yeah.
Whoa, I've never seen the 2-2. Two-stack, two-stack.
I like it. You play around Spellbreaker. The other one is going to be a ridiculous hassle for Viper to deal with.
I mean, the typical snip snap against Warrior when you're using the full turn is the 2-1 stack.
Yeah, you make a 4-6 and a 2-3. Viper, this is kind of yucky to answer. He can't really clear off power from the board.
Build tension. You don't have to attack either. I think you're free to take your time.
From hunterace's perspective, a Ray of Frost would be crucial here, I would say. Arcane Intellect, you also like to see that.
Is he going in? Not yet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That'd be 3 fireballs generated. My head tells me that's not enough. Not facing down the 2 Morden anyway. Is it going to have to be? Rest of your turn is not looking spectacular.
Need a key?
Now with Counterspell, that can change some things.
You require my assistance.
That's a major kicker.
Wait a second. Okay, never mind. I was thinking about whether you could Frost Nova here to just deal damage to these 3/6s, but I think Hunterace wants to just save them.
Oh, yeah.
And to clear them, you would need to also trade off your 4/3s.
Look, your opponent A has to brawl right now.
Yeah.
If they don't, the first brawl is counterspelled, right? If the second brawl has to come out in the face of that,
At the same time, if they have both brawls, you play around it pretty effectively by leaving up these snip snaps.
and by leaving up your opponent's 12 health in
my
play.
question is, could Hunterace have traded in his 4/6 to answer that? Like, could he have traded in his 4/6 to just deal 4 damage, essentially?
I don't want to.
This would be a good
Tough
time
turn.
for a master plan.
I like exactly how he did it. His plan is right now is threaten the double fireball across the board and smash face. Viper does not have the liberty of letting that happen. He does have Restless Mummy and Hero Power.
Well, he still doesn't actually know what the secrets are. It could easily be a
Splitting Image.
splitting image.
But that's where the 1/1s play around it.
Yes.
Ah.
And now... Wait a second. No, no.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tomb can hold me.
I was getting worried he was building for a brawl. I was getting very worried. Viper's too smart for that.
No tomb can hold me.
Does he want to kill this 4/1? Wow, the Kaboom is so important here. That pulls a Siamat or a Zephyrus. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure both of those are still in the
Yeah,
deck.
they are.
And they're 1 mana.
What to do?
Does that just give you Bloodlust here?
Is Bloodlust good enough here? Do you want to use it now? Wait, this is the rare game where you can get the Ysera from the Zephyrus. You have to have like exactly 9 mana or be tapped out on 8 going into 9. That's like the only time he offers Ysera.
I wonder.
There's also the Druid card that costs 8 mana that gives everything +2/+2. That was added in the most recent set. When cards were rotated out, there's an 8 mana give everything +2/+2. And it might give them taunt as well. I'm not sure about that. But that was actually a really good card there.
I think that utilizing the Flame Strike's the right call. Find how you're going to use this Zephyrus most effectively. For Viper right now, he still has to handle threats. But he's getting close.
Okay, then.
He's been preserving AoE for a long time now. His specific thoughts are, you know, like power creation and wide board states.
Really quickly, would Zephyrus give you a King Crush instead?
Depends. 3-card draw coming.
Armadillo picked up. Viper used all of his rush minions, so that is just a 1/2. He used a Restless Mummy to kill a Twilight Drake, a Ziliax to trade off a Ziliax, and then he used his final Restless Mummy to attack the Antonidas.
I'm looking at 3 fireballs in hand, and I'm trying to find where Hunterace chips away at this. Like, he's trying to get close enough that Viper is threatened by the additional fireballs.
I wonder.
Really? Really? All right, he's close enough that Viper was threatened by additional fireballs.
This sets up lethal if
it does.
Viper doesn't have an answer to it.
Now, Viper happens to have Rusty Recycler in hand.
Yes.
But can he clear the board state and get that 2 health?
He gets narrowly out of range of Fireball, Zephyrus Fireball. At 3 mana, can you deal 6 damage? I don't believe so.
This would be a good time for a master plan.
The other thing, too, is that, like, if you don't...
What about Fireball, Polymorph, Zephyrus, Soulfire? If Viper leaves up all of the minions...
Well, right now, he's got to figure out how to stay alive. Like, that's an issue. This is not a good spot.
It's not fun. He's still... Okay, so he still doesn't know about the Flame Ward. He knows that it's not Spinning Image. He should have a pretty good understanding of...
I'm so nervous.
If he trades off 4, he's at 14, so it does not get there just yet. I do not believe Hunterace has lethal just yet. That's huge.
Blast Shield is the giga nuts.
It really is.
You need armor super desperately.
Yes.
Rusty Recycler has reduced and reused to the max.
What to do? What to
And
do?
recycled. He seems like a kind of person that would recycle.
Oh, it's a part of the name.
Yeah.
You know, like people are like, oh, recycling's my middle name.
That's
Just
his last name.
literally their surname.
Yeah. Mr. Recycler. Mrs. Recycler. For Hunterace, that has to be just a huge blow.
Time runs out on you.
2 Corcorons.
Oh. Does not have charge. He puts 5 in play, but it is going to be checked by this Tomb Warden. I imagine.
Is that the recovery?
Goes to 18 with the hero power. You can also Armadillo here. I would say that's a bit less safe because you only put 1 minion in play instead of 2. But it also buffs your Tomb Wardens for next turn.
This would be a good time for
You're
a
thinking about
master
offensive
plan.
Conjurer's Calling in that regard, then, with the 1 taunt
Yes.
plan.
Yes. Another thing about it is Armadillo does not have Rush, and Tomb Warden does. If you play the Tomb Warden, you can guarantee kill off 3 of the damage. So worst case scenario, your Tomb Wardens die, you're at 18, you take 2 from the 2/5, you're at 16. That's pretty well out of range.
He's still got more stuff he has to handle here, too. Siamat still in the deck.
Well, one thing to consider is Fireball Ping Zephyrus is suddenly a really good setup for lethal for hunterace if he can connect 2 damage. So Viper wants to ignore that failed scenario by killing off a 3/3, playing 2 things, just avoiding it entirely. Power creation. That's big.
I don't know if it's enough, though. Like, can it stick? Like, I feel like for hunterace, connecting damage again is going to be a colossal task. Like,
so I'm looking at power creation this turn, and you ping face. The next turn, Fireball Ping Face puts Viper at 10. If he has no armor cards,
missile launchers.
That's pretty
extra
big,
damage.
right?
Violet Warden, taunt spell damage.
Can you clear off? You can also clear off some of the Tomb Wardens this way, right? Missile launcher is like actually really good here.
The missile launchers damage each other too.
That's something to keep in mind. It activates Viper's Plague of Wrath really well.
It also just makes him vulnerable to Tomb Warden, like just a straight up attack, but it deals 2 damage. Like
the 2 damage seems way more important than any minions in play.
That honestly is like this. That's a razor tight margin where if Violet Warden lives, you get a bigger payoff.
So something to keep in mind is that from hunterace's side, he still has a setup for lethal with Fireball Ping Zephyrus the following turn, as long as there's no Blast Shield. He Fireballs Ping Zephyrus. Zephyrus will offer Pyroblast. Next turn, Viper's at 10 life. Hunterace Pyroblasts him in the face. He goes to 0 life. Hunterace wins this game.
It feels so weird that pushing 1 damage is more important than killing that Tomb Warden. But that explanation sells me on the idea.
It makes perfect sense once you realize what Hunterace's game plan is. It's not deal with the board, it's kill Viper. He has one way to do that, it's by pushing face damage.
And if the Violet Wardens live, that means that armor's even getting further chipped into.
I'd be surprised and shocked if these Violet Wardens live.
Yeah, I'm thinking for Viper, it's a pretty clear plan that you have to kill these. So the question is, how do you kill them best?
Plague of Wrath leaves you with a 3/6 in play.
Not convinced you attack.
Blast Shield is the pickup, and it is not Blast Shield.
Viper needs a draw. Does he have a weapons project left? Does he have a turning move left? I don't remember. It's times like...
It's difficult. Hunterace will know. Hunterace will absolutely
Yes.
be keeping track of all these cards that Viper's played.
We
Same
should
thing
have
for
been
Viper.
responsible with Deck Tracker. We were not.
Yes, today.
Apologies.
Yeah. Keeps it exciting.
The players are using it. That's the thinking right now. For
So,
Hunterace, it's solvable.
For Hunterace, if he wants to do it, maybe there's a way for him to... I think the Book of Specters will find him as Siamat. I could be wrong on that. Just something to keep in mind. Recognizing that fatigue is not what matters here.
The key is manipulating your mana so that Zephyrus does not try to offer you something else.
Yes. He's going to go for it next turn. He thinks that it's too likely for Viper to have an Eternium Rover or a weapons project here. And he picks up a weapons project.
But how does he handle the rest of it? It's looking like brawl time.
Hero Power Brawl weapons project.
You can try your best to find something else. It does not exist.
This would be a good time for a master plan.
Viper's just going through.
I think he's trying to see if like Armadillo is enough.
Does Super Collider plus Weapons Project get there? Super Collider plus Weapons Project could kill this, and you could play Weapons Project afterwards. Weapons Project, so you take 5, you go down to 11. Weapons Project would put you up to 17.
Okay, then.
Take 2 chip from
15. It would keep you alive.
Oh my gosh, he found an alternative.
Wait, he needs to play the Weapons Project. He's just dead. If he didn't play the Weapons Project, the Hunter Ace can just go Fireball, Zephyrus, Fireball. Viper got the Blast Shield. Viper realizes that he just made a huge error here. With the Weapons Project, the Blast Shield would have kept him out of range. Down to the wire. Hunter Ace takes a game 2. He had everything. He found the perfect deviation. Viper realizes that he doesn't need to go for a brawl. He has a recognized guaranteed win if he finds the Blast Shield next turn, but he doesn't play the Weapons Project. The final hurdle.
That is a major blunder.
The final hurdle, and he just barely doesn't cross over it.
He found such a good line,
too. The macro line was so good. You know what was going on through his mind? He was saying, if I don't take the 2 chip damage from the Weapons Project, then I can have a guaranteed, maybe an Eternium Rover with something, or...
I think what happened is he laser focused on this tough line of finding alternative to Brawl.
Yeah.
Because the Brawl gives him just a 60%, right? He's looking for a solvable situation, which he found partially.
It seemed like he was on level 15, and he just forgot the level 1 of, oh, Zephyrus can just give him double Fireball.
He found a higher percent line because he has a percent chance to roll Blast Shield as well.
Yes.
So if you count the 50% chance to draw a Eternium Rover plus a 25% chance to roll Blast Shield, you go from 60% to 65%.
Yes.
And so finding that math and calculating that, he got tunnel visioned. And he forgot the Weapons Project.
It's tough.
Oh!
He even had the out of, he also had the minor out of going delivery drone into Eternium Rover.
Like a discovery, I've never counted the discovery math because it's too hard to calculate, blah, 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 blah. The point is he tunnel visioned because his line was so tough.
He was on level 15 at the level 1 of Fireball, Zephyrus, Fireball.
He found 5 more points.
Yeah.
Do you know how hard everybody works to find 1 point, let alone 5?
And then he threw away the 65 at the very end.
And this is not the time where you can afford that kind of mistake because Viper needs to win matches. He has to. It is so tough.
You could argue that your Hearthstone career is on the line right now.
It's so tough. But the Weapons Project wasn't the tough part. It was everything he did right up until that point. How? How did you let that happen?
At the last moment, it must have been one of those things where, oh, if I play Weapons Project a turn later, then I take 2 less damage, and you forget about. Well,
my heart is broken. That hurt.
To be fair, Hunter Ace also took an excellent line up to that point. He deviated away from just trying to go for burn. He played a Book of Specters to put himself 4 in fatigue.
To manipulate the mana state as well. I can't take any credit away from Hunter Ace, but there's a glaring issue with the whole game, which is the not Weapons Project. And so I'm sorry that I'm laser focusing on that, but my goodness, it's
tough, man.
The genius of Viper finds this 5 additional points
and sacrifices it all away.
Game 3.
But we're still in game 3.
Yeah, he's still got another
game for today.
Can't dwell on that.
You gotta refocus.
I can dwell on
Viper
that.
has to refocus.
He has to.
He has to let it go, realize that he can still win the series.
Whew. Okay.
So we need to refocus as well.
Yes. So now, Viper still has Warrior available.
Yep.
He still has Priest available.
Okay.
Hunter Ace got to win with the Mage, so you're looking at Warrior and Paladin on the other side.
Which sounds like Warrior.
That sounds like a Warrior matchup to me.
Yeah, it sounds like Warrior from Hunter Ace, and I'd assume Viper would go Warrior as well. Let's take a double check at these. They both have Elysianas.
I guess it could depend on your interpretation of the Priest versus Warrior matchup in that case.
Or just another example is you're playing against hunterace, who is considered to be the best player in the world. At least I'd consider him to be the best player in the world. In a warrior mirror where there's going to be tons and tons of decisions to be made. It sounds like we're going to get that, and Viper's confident enough in it to challenge him head on.
Yes, and so there's a caveat I want to add to that because we do have a warrior mirror match that's coming up.
Yep.
Viper is very strong on warrior.
Yes.
I've watched his stream for a number of times when he's playing warrior. I specifically like to watch him when he's playing warrior because he goofs around when he's on stream with it to try to get into weird spots to try and figure out what to do. And he wins. I'm like, woof, that's tough to do. And so in the mirror matchup, there's a couple things that I think are working against him, but there's something I think it's working in his favor as well. The thing I think that is working in his favor is the fact that he has Spellbreaker in the deck. It is a way to shut off the aggressive potential that Magnetize actually applies against you. I think it's a super big deal. But there are 2 copies of Omega Devastator in hunterace's warrior build where there is not those in Viper's build. So that does concern me first and foremost.
Very good top end. One thing about this matchup is that unlike Bomb Warrior, which we saw a lot of in previous metas, it slows down a lot. You know, in the Bomb Warrior mirror match, a lot of times you could just take this aggressive line where if you looked at Viper's mulligan, he had an Eternium over and a Stim Stab. But if this was the Bomb Warrior mirror, that would be the stone cold nuts, honestly.
Yeah.
But these games are going to go long. You can push that 10 chip early, but if you do not have the Dr. Boom and your opponent does...
Doesn't mean nothing.
Doesn't mean nothing.
Wait, it's a double negative. Does that mean it does mean something?
It means a little bit. I think that's fair to say.
Dang it.
10 damage is a little bit.
I think in the grand scale of the warrior universe, it's a little bit.
It's a little bit.
I wonder.
Now's not the time.
No,
now's not the time to be second guessing
It's cool.
yourself.
It's cool though. Refocus. Like you can tell he's struggling with it. So take your time and try to find focus. Like I'm serious right now. I don't care if you got to rope every turn the rest of the game. If you find that focus, Viper, because you cannot afford to lose this match. Find it, brother. I know it's within you.
Do or die.
Drop my pen because I'm freaking out.
Frantic, man.
I have super nerd chills right now, Gallon.
Isn't it great, though, that we're ending today on a warrior mirror?
Oh, I love warrior mirrors.
What now?
This is art.
Rope the hero power in turn 3. Love to see it.
Love to see it.
We're in for a long one.
It's been too long since I've gotten one of these.
One thing I felt like in the Warrior Mirror is that if both players are playing Elysiana, fatigue actually doesn't matter that much. At some point, what's going to happen is they use their primo resources, like Brawls and Warpaths, to deal with the board, and it's going to come down to weird Elysiana cards just fighting for board tension. Like, it literally looks like 2 arena decks going at it at the very end. But
That's kind of what it is.
It is. So what that means to me is, if you're like 2 behind in fatigue, before that would be not a death sentence in the Warrior Mirror. Like if it was Odd Warrior versus Odd Warrior, but
as close as you get.
Yeah, fatigue mattered a lot. In this, not as much. Some games will go to fatigue. A lot of them will end with like 2 cards left in the deck, but it's going to be mostly about tempo in the late game.
I would say that there's 3 pretty major variations I encounter, and the order of them is, unfortunately, number 1, Elysiana.
Yes.
And the way that you've set up for it. For Viper, that's a disadvantage because he does not have the natural Omega Devastators in the deck, and so his Elysiana needs to perform higher than Hunterace's, should that variation be the case, of just pure, all your resources traded, neither player can snag the advantage, it comes down to Elysiana. The second one is going to be tempo. It's very difficult to grab, but if you manage to grab it, it pretty much starts to snowball the game. Like, as soon as you get psyched that one of your major threats didn't get answered, it is like the go-ahead. It's the green light. They're waving you home. Stick some magnetics on stuff and attack. Like, you're probably going to win that way. The third one boils down to who drew more cards. Fatigue. It's the first 2 have to be nullified, and it has to get down to that fatigue.
Generally, when the first 2 are nullified, or when both players' Elysianas are either A, very similar to each other, and generally like pretty weak, I would say.
Yeah.
Like it's either they're similar to each other or both are pretty weak. You know, they can both be really powerful or really weak.
It's tough to get over those first 2 humps and find yourself in an actual fatigue battle, but it is possible.
Yep.
What now?
It is pretty cool, though, because generally Control Warrior, the flavor of wins in Control Warrior were fatigue. So it's now taking kind of a backseat role in the matchup. So yes, the games do go long, but
Very
someone's going to
long.
have a decisive victory at the end of the day.
I love it. Fuel me with armor ups.
There was a point where we were like playing Direhorn Matriarch or Direhorn Hatchling
To stave off one
and
fatigue hit.
Carnivorous Cubes to get like 1 fatigue,
yeah.
and then Elysiana comes in with 10.
I remember the first time I facelessed one of my Direhorn hatchlings, I was like, oh.
That's so good. That's 1 extra card.
And the first time I saw someone cube one, I went,
Woo!
whoa. That was Hatul that I saw first cube a Direhorn hatchling.
You know, I joked about that deck list at the championships, and it turns out that he was
was
just
so good.
he was ahead of his time,
It
man.
was so
I was making
good.
fun of cubes and super colliders, and it turns out those cards were fantastic.
It was funny to me because like he tried to bait people into not banning it by just actively putting bad cards in the deck.
To be fair, he had a Festrute Hulk in there as well.
I'm telling you, I think his game plan was to bait people into not banning it by actively putting bad cards
Yeah.
in, and they didn't matter. Like they could have been literally anything in the deck. He should have just made them worse cards. Somebody, if he would have made him 2 wisps, I think it would have not gotten banned.
and yep.
He would have been smashing people. Those 2 cards did not matter at all.
Yeah, that's fair. I don't know, man. That deck was revolutionary.
It was so good. That was a thing of beauty.
I think that it still had some glaring issues, but it captured the essence of like what Warrior was going to be in the future.
Yeah.
Really well. Right, we're playing a weapons project here. It used to be that playing Harrison Jones against a Warrior, you wanted to time it when they had no weapon in play because fatigue mattered so much. But well, here I'd say it might not see play just because it puts hunterace in a spot where you need a coin to avoid drawing.
Yeah, way too many cards.
It's not that bad of a thing to have to Harrison Jones your opponent's weapon.
Well,
Fatigue is like, again, the tertiary game plan in these kinds of matchups.
To me, this is the first site that hunterace may have an opportunity to grab tempo. And so the question is, how would you grab that tempo the best? I don't necessarily think that's Harrison Jones because you're playing so into a Dynamatic.
Yep. And Viper has 2 copies of Dynamatic.
Yeah. My instinct here is if you're going to Harrison Jones, you're going to end up coining. Or if you see Elysiana, you're just okay with burning a card.
Yep. That sounds right to me.
That belongs in a museum.
Now that being said, I do find myself with the coin in my hand in a large number of games, albeit this was prior in the 7-mana Dr. Boom era.
Yeah.
I remember I was practicing with you where we discussed an iteration of literally coining armor because you just never used it for anything.
That was a very specific metagame.
It was a very specific metagame, but I never ever used the coin. It was in my hand on turn 10 every single game.
I mean, results-oriented thinking, hunterace could have coined hero power this game and it would have been better than what just happened.
Yep.
As dumb and backwards as that sounds, there's a little bit of truth to it.
Took me a long time to find it, but the first time I did it, I went, ooh, I feel smart. Never needed that coin. Not even close.
It would have been really dumb for hunterace to coin hero power this game.
9-mana Dr. Boom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. glad we settled that.
I just figured if we were talking about past memories, I wanted to keep going.
Yeah,
I was
that's
having
fair.
fun.
There's been a lot of good memories in Hearthstone. There's been a lot of exciting matches.
And Warrior's the time where you get to open that treasure trove.
Yeah.
People wonder why I love Warrior Mirror matches. It's because I'm passionate about telling stories. That's one of my favorite things to do in the world.
Viper and hunterace have arguably the best match ever played in Hearthstone. Game 5 of World Championships was like the dream come true for people that enjoy watching Hearthstone.
What my favorite thing about that match was being backstage and all the professionals gathered around with their friends and everyone talking about it. And as soon as we got into Arc Villain Reform mode, nobody cared about strategy anymore. It was just watching and enjoying. And
Well, these two did, but everyone else,
well,
it was just the spectacle, right?
They're playing for like 100 Gs or in a world title.
More
so
than that, yeah.
you get my point. And everyone backstage, we're just flipping out about every single, rip-roaring good time. Nobody cared what happened. We just wanted to see Haymaker plays.
Yeah, and you got him.
Oh.
Elysiana's a bit like Rafam.
Except it's not bad.
I'd say Elysiana's a pretty bad card.
Touche.
Not in the sense that... Okay, so I think it's kind of like the since other people are running it, you're forced into running it as well.
Yeah.
If everyone could just agree not to run Elysiana.
Oh my gosh, look at Viper.
But then you'd want to run Elysiana back.
Look at Viper.
So
He is, his focus, it feels like it's tough for him. And for hunterace, you think back to that Harrison Jones, a threat didn't get handled. Was that his opportunity to snag tempo? He's compounding the issue.
And I'd honestly argue that in some ways, competing in the grand finale of the World Championship is pretty close to the amount of stress that Viper is facing right now.
In a weird way, yeah.
Not in the sense that I think that the stakes were much higher at the World Championship, but I think that Viper is someone that puts a lot of pressure on himself to do well.
Absolutely.
His back is against the wall. His back was against the wall in the World Championship. I'd imagine it's the same way now.
I can see it a couple ways too, where it's like he put Arc Villain Rafam in his zoo deck, right?
Yeah.
Once you play it, you've come to terms with it.
Yeah.
You've put that faith in Arc Villain Rafam's hands. That to me almost is like a calming feeling, where you're like, well, what did I do wrong then? This is Arc Villain Rafam's fault.
Yeah.
Here.
I must choose.
It's all on him, man.
Following that game too as well.
No tomb can hold me.
Seems like he's setting up for a warpath.
Excellent use of Warpath.
No tomb
Your
can
opponent's
hold
going to battle for tempo that way, and you have to fight it back.
Seems smart.
Take a fairly nominal cost of resources as well.
Warpath's important. It's not the be-all, end-all in this matchup.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes it depends on your hand context. I find myself, like, wasting a Brawl or wasting a Warpath because I have to account for hand size. So, like, Viper's not in that territory at all right now. And picking up that Town Crier isn't helping the issue.
I think the big roadblock for Viper this game is going to be if he doesn't find Dr. Boom pretty soon. Generally, we've seen that you can make a pretty, not insurmountable lead, but a pretty big lead if you have Dr. Boom several turns ahead of your opponent.
Yeah, definitely in Control Warrior, I think it's not quite as glaring if the game goes even. I think that Viper, you know, I would say somewhere in the neighborhood of like 7 or 8 turns until things are like,
yeah,
okay, well, now things aren't okay anymore.
You on average, you get like 2 extra mechs, you get some extra hero powers.
Yeah, sometimes it can just do nothing.
The rush mechanic of it is important, but it's not vital.
Yeah, it's much more vital if you're losing tempo though, and so I think with hunterace having Dr. Boom in hand, that has been a focus for him, was trying to find that way to get tempo. But here it was pretty squelched.
It's a pretty ugly turn for hunterace as well. I mean,
yeah, I mean that's the benefit that Viper bought with, you know, his answer back to the Snip Snap.
Yeah,
he had to stave off that tempo. hunterace got a sign that, you know what, I need to slow down. If I keep going in, I could very easily be overcome because of that.
Yep.
And so try to look for that moment again.
Do you think from Viper's side, you'd be worried about a Warpath in hunterace's hand right now? He had 4 1-1s in play and elected not to Warpath them. Now, that's like a very... It's a very hard one to estimate, right? Whether there's a Warpath in hunterace's hand or not right now.
What are you getting at?
I'm saying that from Viper's side, would hunterace have Warpath those 4 1-1s?
Too hard to tell. I think this is giving you a pretty strong board position versus 4 1-1, so
yeah,
unlikely to Warpath.
Just something to keep in mind.
Yeah, even if had.
If it's even if he had it, then you probably don't want to play into a Warpath.
Probably not. Looking like a solid do-nothing kind of turn to me.
Makes sense.
For hunterace, this is not, in my opinion, a clean turn to use Tomb Warden.
It's not great, right? You're looking at a pretty good Plague of Wrath from Viper's side. If you don't use your weapon to clear a 1-1, even if you do, it's still not fantastic. However, if you got rid of the Plague of Wrath, this is one of the things that I want to talk about. It's not going to matter for a while, but it will matter at the end of the game, is that Elysiana, once both players have played their Elysiana, the person that runs out of resources to contest the board are going to... That's confusing, right? Maybe he wants to force out a Plague of Wrath.
I mean, that would be my only thought. I mean, I'm okay with that too. If your plan is to force a Plague of Wrath, like, sure, play the Tomb Warden. It's not clean, but it's a way
If
to
he plays
force
a
it.
Plague of Wrath, you're going into a Dr. Boom turn with nothing in play from
Ah, that's the idea. It's Catalyst to Dr. Boom.
At the same time, though, you could also have a 3/6 into play on the turn that you could Dr. Boom.
Well, that's why I said it was clean. It works, but I'd say that was a pretty rough way to get Dr. Boom into play.
Sure, sure. It was also one of those things where you could force your opponent off of Dr. Boom. Like, they might see it and say, oh, I need to play Wrath instead.
Viper hangs his head.
Not the best hero power for Hunterace to see, but again, it's just a minor detail in the grand scheme of things. Armageddon picked up.
Yeah, the issue is that Omega Devastator's naturally in the deck for Hunterace. It's a major difference.
It gets so much better with a Dr. Boom in hand as well. Tomb Wardens with Rush are better than Tomb Wardens without Rush. As funny as that sounds. A better question is, do you even need to play the Omega Devastator? Isn't Dynamatic a fairly clean kill here? You trade off the 1/1, you hero power, you Dynamatic, you make use of one of your weaker tools, I would say, in the matchup when both players have a ton of mechs.
Absolutely. I'm thinking that the Tomb Wardens that are in Viper's hand are just not as good when there's Omega Devastators naturally in Hunterace's deck.
Yeah. I apologize. I assume that you're talking about Omega Devastatoring
No,
the
I have a major issue where I always say the auxiliary thing.
Sure.
And I don't say the obvious thing. At least to me, obvious.
We've got a game.
Hey, I was giving him 8 turns.
Suit back in. Suit back in. Lean back in your chair. We got to talk about this.
I was giving him 8 turns. I noticed I started to tally mark this on the sheet. It took 1.
It took 1.
Yeah, what are you worried about?
I'm worried about Viper. That's what I'm worried about.
Oh, still?
Yes.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
I feel significantly less worried now that he has Dr. Boom. Still very worried.
I suppose my lack of worry would speak to my faith in Viper's Control Warrior play.
Fair enough. My level of worry went from the house is on fire to just the kitchen is burning.
Yeah, and you're still inside of it?
Yes.
Okay, but hey, that means it's fine.
This is fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, then.
Hunterace is in a, I would say, pretty good spot overall in the matchup. Though the one thing to keep in mind is that he is 4 behind in fatigue. He drew a lot of cards off of the Harrison Jones.
Still got an Acolyte of Pain in hand, still have a shield block in hand.
Again, I think it's going to be a relatively minor thing, and Hunterace does as well, just based off of the fact that he decides to play shield blocks. I see a lot of people not playing shield blocks in the Control Warrior mirror, and I don't actually think it's a bad idea to.
Well, it depends, right?
It does depend.
Hunterace is clearly making the statement that he can fight for tempo.
Yes.
And I don't think he's wrong. He has Devastators, Viper doesn't. He's ahead, Viper isn't. Like,
Makes sense.
You just had a 3/4 not get cleared on board, fight for tempo. This is the constant back and forth of the Warrior battle is when can you fight for tempo again? Because usually you can't. It's very specific turns where that happen, and he's been recognizing them every step of the way. I will say for Hunterace, I don't know how much Control Warrior practice he's had. I've talked to him about the matchup before. It seems like he has some practice, but this is not like one of his primary decks that he plays. It takes a long time to practice Warrior. But he is spot on in his instinct. Like, he's talked to me, I feel like I do this, I feel like I do this, and I'm like, just every step of the way, he's spotting brilliance of what to do and when and why.
It's not just natural talent either.
It's hard work.
It's hard work, for sure.
I don't think natural talent's a real thing. I hate that phrase.
It will only get you so far. It will not get you as far as Hunterace.
It applies to when you have, like, synesthesia and perfect pitch. Like, Hearthstone synesthesia is not going to help you. Like,
that Restless Mummy isn't golden. I can taste it. It tastes like defeat. Kaboom.
I can smell the top deck.
Yeah. Actually, that would be pretty helpful.
Well,
that's going down a weird path,
that's a whole new can of worms there.
Yeah. Kaboom, hero power is not that great except when your opponent has microbots.
Right. And so you can take a look at Hunterace's game so far and kind of recap the state that we're in. For Viper, that's it's a painful spot to see him in. Hang in there. Hang in there. You still got game, brother.
The game isn't even halfway over.
hunterace has had 3 turns where he's been able to actively capitalize on tempo.
Yep.
That's bought a 20 armor difference at this point. Now, mind you, he's used 2 shield blocks as well. So it is a plus 5 card difference for Viper right now.
Sure.
Unless hunterace can force those resources out of Viper and cause him into a bad state where this damage snowballs, all that damage rolls back post-Elysiana.
I'm not going to lie, this is the first turn where that game plan of tempo is kind of stumbling for hunterace. He plays his 1/1s, but it's going to get easily checked by the hero power. And suddenly, if Viper develops his own board here, hunterace will be on the back foot.
Well, notice at the start of the match, I didn't just really explain the consequences of taking the iterations that were there.
Yeah.
If you try to capitalize on tempo, drawing cards, putting stuff in play, and it fails to work, that's a rough one. I have experienced that a number of times, which is what has caused me to typically not fight for tempo very aggressively in the matchup.
To be fair, hunterace still has a lot of incredible tools against what Viper wants to do. The fact that he has Omega Devastators and Viper doesn't,
it makes the Elysiana setup much more dangerous for Viper than it does for hunterace.
Absolutely. Tomb Warden is a fantastic pickup. It means that Armageddillo gets way cleaner of a card to use. I imagine that from hunterace's side, that might not be the play. He definitely wants to press the button this turn. If he goes Armageddillo hero power, he might be overdrawing a card, and that's quite bad when Elysiana is still in your deck. So for hunterace, it's about emptying his hand enough while still playing for tempo. That's his game plan right now.
And so you look at a spot like this, the Brawl's in hand.
Why not?
Aggressive card draw.
Yeah.
The Omega Assembly. Like, there are a lot of factors that when you're playing that aggressive game plan, they start to clog up your hand as well. It actually, at some point, can start to work against you that you've been playing so aggressive.
And look at what hunterace did. I thought that was pretty brilliant. He decided to hero power before playing the Armageddillo there, like seeing if he got a taunt or not. If he got a taunt off of the hero power, he's like, yeah, let's play the Armageddillo now. Guaranteed it. If he didn't, he could deviate, maybe play a Restless Mummy, for example, instead. So I just thought the ordering of that was pretty great.
Yeah.
Committed the Armageddillo only after he saw what he had gotten off the hero power.
All right, this is a major multi-step process
This
for
is
Viper.
intense, man. My heart's leaping out of my chest right now.
A,
This would be
check
a good time
Armageddillo
for a
efficiently.
master
Yes, you need to kill that.
B, don't let that check be capitalized on by hunterace, battling for tempo.
C, don't use enough resources where you're going to lose the resource war in the long game doing it.
Oh, that used thing.
So step 1, open the box.
Omega Devastator is what you want to see!
I'm not sure he's using that.
It's still what you want to see.
It is what you want to see. No doubt about that.
You don't need to go face with the weapon, but you
Beautiful.
have a weapons project yourself. It doesn't matter in the it does matter in the grand scheme of things, but not that much.
Yeah, this one. But the point is,
Worth thinking about.
Look at the board state he got himself to. What's to be capitalized on here?
Nothing.
Perfect.
Great. That was a good turn. Another thing to keep in mind is Viper just playing the Town Crier. I think he's trying to take the role of Fatigue Mattering in this matchup. If I had to guess.
It does.
Yes.
Well, he also, the Town Crier, he drew it post drawing all the rush minions. And that was when I think he had his first initial reaction to, this is not good. Where it's like, he's like, okay, all the rush minions are gone. And now the Town Crier shows up.
Yeah.
Okay, then.
Which is kind of like a blessing in disguise, honestly. If you're playing for that fatigue-style scenario, which, again, is not rare, but uncommon in this matchup right now.
I would say that given the pan out so far, definite blessing.
Yeah. It's weird audio. Hear that?
Nope.
Love it twice. Take the hit. No reason not to.
Tough turn for Viper.
hunterace just playing for tempo right now.
I think it's smart. He's got all the answers in the world. It's hard for him to be capitalized on right now.
Step 1, I really want to click the button this game, or this turn. hero power gain 7 is pretty vital. Now, there might be a world where doing that is actually incorrect. Maybe it requires too many resources to click the button alongside killing the 5-8 and the 5-7. In which case, would you have to deviate? On the flip side, you have something like Omega Devastator plus Hero Power Shield Slam. That sounds like a lot of resources, though.
Yeah, I don't want to use the Shield Slam.
Yeah, that sounds like too many resources.
Shield Slam is very important for the end game.
You could do Omega Devastator Spellbreaker.
Liking that one.
That sounded a bit better. You capitalize on the tempo, you play a 4-3, you start getting value out of this weapon, and you can click the Blast Shield.
Yeah, that sounds perfect.
You do take 3, but
small price to pay to keep a Shield Slam.
Sounds like a bargain.
Ah, I overlooked it. It's the 10-card conundrum from Hunterace. Trade off the board, have nothing in play. You got 10 cards in your hand, do something. Perfect manipulation of the hand size.
Okay. I want to see how it pays
Beautiful
off.
play. Hunterace has to throw away a resource.
He's been throwing away resources left and right. That's what he
He's
called
been
that.
getting something from his resources.
Yeah, he's going to get something from his resources continuously.
Here, no. Here it's
He's got
very
a 3-7
different.
he can just play.
That's very easy to capitalize on.
Okay,
The thing about it is you're not doing
Fair.
anything with that resource. Like normally with that rush up, you rush into a minion.
That's fair.
Or you present an obstacle for your opponent. You make progress on your hand size somehow. Here, you have to seed that Viper will have the strongest response he wants. Period. Beautiful.
At the same time, though, Hunterace is still capitalizing on it pretty well. I don't think this is actually that easy for Viper to capitalize on. Now, the hero power will obviously have something to say about that. If he gets the second Omega Devastator here, suddenly we have a fantastic turn.
I super disagree with you.
Okay. In the grand scheme of things, this is like 1% of the total game. But 1% can matter. Hecklebot. He doesn't know about whether Elysiana is in hand or not, but you're playing for fatigue here. Oh my gosh.
Hecklebot.
He takes it. Does he rip it?
Not
yet?
Not yet, I don't think. I don't know. That's awfully tempting. Ah!
Face me, you tempting tyrant.
Oh! Disaster for Hunterace! Viper is elated now. The game plan for Viper is don't die at all costs.
He can do that. That's so easy. Oh, I'm sorry, man. My voice is cracking up right now. That was great.
Let it rip. I want to know how you feel, Gallon. Do you believe in miracles, Gallon?
Viper needs one, man. You're telling him not to die. He rips a blast shield at the top. He has an Omega Assembly. Hunterace still has 2 Omega Assemblies, but he has to go all in from this point. Elysiana will not bail
It's
him
time
out.
to go. It's time to go.
War Gear.
That's a great way
We're
to start.
not pressing the button.
Nope, you're never touching that
Biggest
button.
minion, all face.
The rest of the game.
Getting him down. There's
Lasers,
a Spellbreaker that
perfect.
could come out. Turn this 8-9 into a 1-5.
The more lasers, the better. Laser discover. Laser discover. That's all you want.
Absolutely. Another Hecklebot. I'm not saying you should do it.
I'm looking at the vicious,
You
the
don't
vicious
need
scrap
to.
hound.
Okay, you want to go Vicious Scrap Hound, and
I don't want to do it now. It's just there. Look at it.
it's
Major deal.
major deal for sure.
You know what?
You have Vicious Scrap Hound plus Ziliax in the late game, so
Double lifesteal.
it's fantastic. Spellbreaker is like an Omega Devastator here.
Yes. Let's go ahead and use that one.
Play an Omega Devastator here.
magic shall not save you.
Step 2. Yeah, okay. Use the scrap hound. It's pretty efficient, honestly.
You want to click the button and remove stuff from the
Every
board.
turn.
Viper is clicking the button, removing stuff from the board.
No tomb can hold me.
Seems upset about that play.
I don't know why you would be.
I mean, he did give him a scrap hound for a Ziliax. It's kind of weird, but I see why. Time to brawl
Biggest minion all face.
for the rest of the game.
literally for the rest of the game. You are not winning the fatigue war. You are not winning it by a mile. By hundreds of life points, you are losing the fatigue war. At least 100, right?
Infinity.
Pretty much the same number right now.
So the question for Viper is, if you brawl, how do you get out if you lose the brawl?
Honestly, if you were just focused on removing this board, you could always just Mortuary Machine trade the 7-9 and brawl, and if the 7-1 lives, you kill it off. What do you have in mind?
I'm looking at Mortuary Machine and a buffed Ziliax.
Ooh. That's a 13-10? Another Ziliax.
Well, that's how you get out of it. You just take the damage.
Hunterace, I think it's got to start at the 7-9. That's the worst
4-1.
one. Oh, man. You got to get this Omega Assembly off somehow. You have to be able to play that card. You still have an Omega Devastator in your deck as Hunterace.
It's just, you're crippled. Like, you have to get something huge off the Omega Devastator. What's big right now?
Well, I'll tell you what's big off of Omega Assembly. Weaponized Pinata.
Oh, you're going deep.
I'm thinking of ways to win. That's what Hunterace has to be doing right now as well. Weaponized Pinata can find you another Lysiana. It can find you Chef Nomi.
Mechathune?
That seems pretty difficult with his hand of 2 brawls, Acolyte of Pain, and
You got hero powers to get rid of those.
That's
you have
fair
to do it quick, but you got to start making some hand space somehow. Warpath sets up for Omega 7.
What other cards are just Zephyrus?
I love that fuse thing.
Brand,
He needs Miracle.
Elise.
Look.
Elise, I'm not sure it works. But
Something disastrous happened to you. You now need to do something disastrous to Viper.
yes.
Find a way.
Just getting rid of cards from his hand.
Make hand space.
I think for Viper, you saw the Boom Reaver pull an Omega Devastator out of Hunterace's deck. Right? So it's fairly likely that the Omega Devastator is still in his deck. With that in mind, is a play like Hecklebot Ziliax just good enough?
I mean, Hecklebot's looking mighty good.
If you're ripping it, this is probably the turn to
This would
do
be a
it.
good time for a master plan. This would be a good time for a master
Easy.
plan.
Easy.
Face me, you inept ingrate.
Almost out of let's relax.
And with
Vital
that,
resource gone.
it's gotta be Weaponized Pinata, either off of the Omega Assembly or off of the Delivery Drone.
Something crazy's got to happen.
Hunterace has a lot of turns to find a Delivery Drone for Weaponized Pinata, and it has gotten more likely since the Discovery nerf towards class cards.
Well, you say a lot of time, but the issue is you're not drawing a card ever again.
That's true.
So it's time to brawl.
I bet you that
Please, Acolyte, do not win the brawl.
Hunterace isn't even thinking about Weaponized Pinata. He's thinking about specifically Mechathune exactly.
I just saw the 4 mana, and I knew it was a 4/3.
No, those are not the... That's not a Mechathune. It's not a Weaponized Pinata. However, he still has the chance to go Delivery Drone for one of those 2 cards. You hope the 3/4 lives here. That's
game.
That's game.
You're so set deep into fatigue after this. Viper sighing in relief. He knows.
Light the fuses.
Take the damage.
Idiot.
I mean, it is unfortunate for Hunterace, but I'll tell you what, this was This was a breath of life for Viper.
We still got a couple more turns to play out.
No.
You know what? I'm digging deep.
This life total is about to melt away.
I know, but we got to dig deep here, Admirable. There's always a chance. Weaponized Pinata into Elysiana could do it.
No way,
Yes, it
man.
can. Yes, it can. Okay, that's not the hero power.
A million to
dig
one
deep.
minimum. A million to one.
It doesn't matter, all right? It could be infinite to one. Oh, man. Clockwork Goblin denies the Mechathune. That's actually relevant.
You literally keep that in hand.
Yes, you
Never
do.
play that.
For those that don't know, at some point, hunterace will have to rely on playing a Mechathune on an empty board. Viper can then play a Clockwork Goblin, shuffle a bomb into hunterace's deck, and then kill the Mechathune. The Mechathune will then say, oh, there's a card in my deck. I'm not going to win the game for you.
Correct.
Hunterace takes 5 and then promptly loses the game.
The only way you can circumnavigate that is a discounted Mechathune with a way to eliminate it.
Shield Slam. So he would
That's
need
it.
to get a Galvanizer and a Mechathune, and that seems
quick.
not happening this game, based on the fact that his Shield Slam will probably not deal 10.
Yes. So for Viper, the priority starts to become, how can I chip away at the life total efficiently as well?
I mean, from Hunterace's side, it's still play a Mechathune, and that's going to be checked.
Yeah, it's a million to one minimum.
At this point, it might just be over. He needs to get a Mechathune exactly next turn. He needs to figure out a way
15
to...
from fatigue already.
Well, what that means to me is maybe there is like a way to just play all of your cards this turn, or most of them.
You pretty much need to play as many cards as you can.
I think so.
Save the best for last.
just maximizing the damage. Excellent work. It also kind of stops the Harrison Jones a little bit. I'm not sure how relevant that is, though. That seems pretty relevant.
Not it.
Not it. We are rapidly approaching the point of no return for hunterace. We may have already approached that several turns ago, but
Viper's starting to believe that's where hunterace is moving, though.
This would be a good time.
so
for a
from his
master
perspective,
plan.
he does not want to either A, play a big enough minion that a Mechathune could just trade into it,
Yep.
and that's it.
Yeah, pretty much.
Just don't play a 10
and
attack
don't play
minion.
the Clockwork Goblin.
Yes. So that's the two-step process right now.
I wonder if Viper's going one deeper and he's like, what if it's 2 Mechathunes? Don't let either of them trade in.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you can just strand the Shield Slams in hand if there's a Mechathune. He knows
You
there's
could
2 Shield Slams
still
left.
Shield Slam for 0 damage.
Just to the mana.
Yes.
Oh, Hunter. I think Viper is like actively gotten concerned again, where he's like, oh my gosh, it's actually Mechathune.
Yeah. And like hunterace is just waiting on the Galvanizer hero power off of Delivery Drone. Again, we did not see the Delivery Drone, so I think...
No, seriously, he's actually nervous about it. He's
Yeah.
like, okay, I cannot mess this up, and that's why he took the turn off and just burned the card.
Yep. He should know that the last card is a Shield Slam.
Shield Slam and a mech.
Okay,
Random mech.
then.
Doesn't know what the mech is.
But the
The
way that it's
worst
been
case
played,
scenario is Mechathune.
the way it's been played is it's represented as Mechathune right now.
Yes. So one line to take is just don't play anything. That doesn't really do anything though, because hunterace could still Shield Slam his microbot.
Yeah.
Okay,
Again,
then.
none of this actually matters. It's just from Viper's perspective, what he's fearing could
Yeah.
happen.
Oh, that's the whole point of why we're here, right?
Yeah.
Explain what the player's thinking.
He is trying to beat the worst case scenario. If Viper knew that Piloted Reaper was the last card in Hunterace's hand, he'd be laughing knowing that this game was over. But since he doesn't know that, it could be Mechathune.
This is the strongest counterplay to Mechathune right now.
Because now what happens is that Hunterace would need to play Microbots and then Shield Slam, and then Viper could just not kill the Microbots, and then there's 2 1/1s in play for the rest of the game.
Almost out of cards.
Not a Delivery Drone. Viper's got it figured out. Not a delivery drone, but it does gain him health.
I'm really enjoying that hunterace is at least making him sweat. This is thoroughly enjoyable.
It literally needs to be next turn exactly for him to have any hope.
That's impossible.
It's impossible.
It's actually impossible now.
You would need to have gotten a zap and then a way to shuffle.
It's impossible. Look at the fatigue. I told you this hours ago.
Literally hours ago.
The fatigue scenarios. There's 2 people I know that know them inside and out. One of them's purple. I don't know who the other one is, but
at least 2.
I've learned from purple. Not quite as good as he has, but I've learned it either way. Viper, the blessing in disguise. The Hecklebot, the perfect fatigue damage taken, and he answers back on RDU's match win to help stave off relegation again.
I'm out of breath, man.
Woo, that was so intense.
That was a nail-biting series. I guarantee that would have been heartbreaking if Viper had lost, though. He clutched it together in the very end.
We don't have to worry about that. It's gone.
Yes. It's not gone. Viper still has several more matches to play. He's still very much in the hot seat.
We'll think about those later. I am so stoked
We're
about
thinking
that.
about the win right now.
Yes.
The Hecklebot, the Elysiana.
Absolutely. What a big outcome for him. To find the line in game 2, to have the blunder, to lose that edge, and then to refocus yourself and play well in game 3 and just find the blessing that is the Hecklebot there. Like, he was in a position where it looked like he was about to crumble under that pressure, his head in his hands, rubbing his eyes, couldn't stop focusing on that one mistake.
Remember that game as well. There was several turns where hunterace had the Dr. Boom and Viper didn't, and that probably added to the monumental amount of pressure that he was facing.
And despite that, he stayed composed.
Yes.
And he played it well. Yep. And he checked all the boxes. He
got
did exactly
to the finish
what he was
line.
supposed to do.
Yep.
Had the presence of mind to find every little thing he could do to try to seize that advantage. The Hecklebot cleared all of it up. Brilliant play.
Nice little bow.
Brilliant play.
Yeah, it was fantastic.
Waiting, Viper to... Oh, he's ready now. Viper, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you guys.
What a colossally exciting matchup that just happened. Viper, let's address the elephant in the room as you'd like, but talk to me about everything you're feeling. This was a beautiful one to watch.
I don't know. I guess I'm just happy that I ended up winning. I'm really mad at myself for the game 2 thing where, I don't know, it's just, you play this game and then, like, I don't know, it was a really difficult game to play, and I think I was really confident in what I did, and I found kind of the winning place, even though it was looking very grim, and then in the end I just focus on, okay, play around Tyrion, play around Pyroblast. He always has this 2-turn lever setup with Pyroblast, and then I just literally forgot, okay, well, he can just do 12 in turn and I die, so I don't know. I guess it's just the pressure of the coming at you as well, because this game, getting the tiebreaker from Hunter, like getting the big tiebreaker boost beating Hunterace is really impactful, even looking at not relegating, but also looking at just getting a 2-0 this week, beating Hunterace Kulenta with those high win scores, but even put me in a reasonable position to maybe get to playoffs, because I'm gonna have a better tiebreaker than other people with the same score. And I don't know, I guess it's all this pressure coming together and then being so close to the win, and then you just forget about a small thing. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think all that feeling is justified, but I want to take a look at game 3 as well, where you were looking like in rough shape. I mean, seeing the camera, it was not going well. And then everything went so right. Like, talk to me about your plan in game number 3 and what your feeling was like and how it transformed over the course of that game.
I mean, the plan game 3 was pretty rough because we play a Warrior Mirror, and looking at our decklist, probably only keep Dr. Boom in the mulligan. Hunterace kept a card in the mulligan. My hand was not looking like I could ever out-pressure or gain anything from playing minions. Then I was faced with a hand that couldn't even answer Armadillo. So I have to like preemptively play the weapons project, start hitting. He has the Harrison, he has like all the tempo to it, but then he plays the Dr. Boom. So yeah, like usually the Warrior Mirror you want to play for tempo, but ever since Frightened Flunky and the Discover mechanic, like the Discover mechanic got changed, Frightened Flunky rotated out of the deck, and then suddenly the pressure game plan of multiple Tomb Wardens, Armadillos kind of changed, and it's a lot easier to like pressure people into fatigue and maybe win with a fatigue damage need, which like that on the side is like rarely relevant, the actual damage need, but the hand cuts, the hand size is relevant because I had less cards in hand all the time, so I could literally just sit back and chill. And then he's in the awkward spot of, is he just throwing away a Warpath? He can't use the Brawls. He can't really just play Omega Devastator on empty board. So he's stuck with all those pretty good cards, but they're just not playable because I don't have anything in play. And we both have Dr. Boom up, so the guy that's going to get value trades into the opponent minions is probably going to have the edge going into the later stages. So looking at having later Dr. Boom, having less card draw, it kind of seemed my only option to like sit back, chill, and hope I get value trades of all of my minions. And then, I mean, I guess the Hagglebot thing happened, which was really, really clutch, but I'm not even sure if Hagglebot might not pull Elysiana, I might be okay in that spot because I still have a Super Collider Swing, I still have big AoE cards, I have Dr. Boom up myself, and I had Shield Slams going into Elysiana turns as well, like so did he. But he was a bit more awkward in terms of hand space, can't play the Omega Assemblies as he wants to. So the Hackerbot was like the big relief and everything was so easy and I only had to play around Mechafoon from that point onwards. And playing around Mechafoon isn't that difficult because like even if they can play Mechafoon, then you just tank the Mechafoon for 3 turns, or you play a Celiax into the Mechafoon and then it's going to tank 2 attacks of the Mechafoon and heal you up for another attack. And yeah, the Mechafoon, the thing that happened against Casey, for example, Ajala got a Mechafoon it literally never works. It's so rare that win condition it's so insanely rare and lucky if that win condition works, but I mean, it's the only thing you can go for, so.
It seemed like there was a spot where you realize he had like Microbots, Shield Slam, and what could be Mechathune. And it's like, if he plays the Microbots, suddenly there's 2 1/1s in play, and the Mechathune just can't work because he can't kill off the 1/1s. And like, right when you realize that, suddenly the turns went from roping, spending 75 seconds every single turn, to like 5 seconds every single turn. You like mathematically figured out. It was really cool to see.
Yeah, I mean, at that point, I knew the cards left in his deck, and I knew the cards left in his hand, and it was like, okay, well, he needs to discover another mech, and then while he still has the armor up, then he has to shield some dead mech, and then he can play the Mechathune, and then he's going to be too deep in fatigue to ever win this game. So at that point, the game was like completely solved for me. Yep. It was like the vice versa thing from the Mage one, where I was like, okay, I have to deal with, okay, he has Nova in hand, Galaxy in hand, this. Okay, I have to deal with these things, and I just forgot about one thing, so I kind of took my time thinking about what can happen, how can I lose to Mechathune.
Well, you know what, Viper? It was time valuable taken because you did it so well at the end, and you got the blessing of the Hecklebot, but I personally feel that you were in good position despite that. Viper, you got a couple matches left. I'm glad to hear your spirits of focusing even on playoffs at this point. I think that's a good mind space to be in. So congratulations on your win here, and I'm looking forward to your next matches. He remembers all of it. That
stream of thought, stream of consciousness. That was like a 4-minute explanation going from like the end of match 2 all the way through the Warrior game.
He's so smart.
Yeah.
So smart. Let's take a look at the schedule and see what matches we had. Maybe you forgot of everything else that took place. So, for Board Control to get the win over Fino, that put the ball in Psycho's court to be able to capitalize. And unfortunately, Yarla had a disconnect in that one. So for Fino, bad news. You hate to see disconnects, but it's part of the rule. Yarla was gone for 10 minutes plus, and that results in a match loss. Silverman picking up a big win. RDU taking the win over Swids, and then Viper answering back on that, taking the 2-1 over hunterace in that World Championship rematch.
And honestly, it was so cool to see. I thought it was reminiscent. Maybe not as cool of a match as the World Championship, but it was still my match of the day.
Had the same kind of vibes to it. Just crazy stuff happening, like excitement, drama, everything was shaken up. But still, even with that loss, hunterace stands atop the division at 9-2. Colento just trailing him. And you heard Viper talk about playoff standings. It's still possible. If the matches roll out in his favor, he can still make that playoff line, because look at the bottom of that, stacked all the way across at 4-7.
Yeah, I mean, again, it would be like one of those 1% scenarios where, oh, this player has to win and this player has to lose and yada, yada, yada.
Possibilities.
But it's still a possibility, just like Mechathune is a possibility.
Definitiveness is so final, but possibilities, those are endless. Bunny Hopper stands atop on his side on Division B. Yarla, of course, with the disconnect loss, moves on to 8-4. And for Casey, moving up to 6-5 for that first point in the season, and looking at board control spot as well at 6-6. Even records, still everyone here fighting chances for playoffs except for Fino, who has to start winning to stave off relegation.
Yeah, I mean, for Casey as well, I mean, getting another chance to play over board control. Board control is 6-6. That means he's done for this weekend. Casey still has a chance to win.
Yeah, absolutely. And so that's what we're looking forward to now. And so, Gallon, we're done here on the broadcast, but
I'm not.
Yeah.
I got games to play, man.
You got match 2.
Strife Pro, match 2.
Woo! Americas is going to be coming up here. You can stay up to date with the schedule and see exactly who the schmuck is playing and what he's playing with over at playhearthstone.com/esports. That wraps us up here for Europe on Saturday, but we have 6 matches on deck tomorrow, so same time and the same place. For now, for myself, for Gallon, for everyone here at the production crew, we're wrapped up in Europe, and we're sending it over to TJ and Sottle for Americas.